Hayalperestlerin, risk alanların, denemekten korkmayanların cesaretinden doğduk. Bizi asla yarı yolda bırakmayan o sesin rehberliğiyle ilerlemeye ve öğrenmeye devam ediyoruz. Bunun için varız. Bu yüzden gece geç saatlere kadar lambalarımız sönmez. Elveda demek hem hüzün hem de gurur verir. Her şeyi sorgulayarak ve merakımızı besleyerek, dayanıklılığımızı test ederek, sınırlarımızı aşarak, ilerleyerek ve yeni ufuklar açarak yeni bir yol buluruz. Yeni icatlar çıkararak, kendi yolumuzu çizerek. Burası fikirlerin doğduğu ve yeni fikirleri doğurduğu, bizim de doğduğumuz, birlikte büyüdüğümüz ve yükseldiğimiz yer. Burası Yakın Doğu Üniversitesi.
Good morning, dear participants. This is the second day, first session of the third International Conference on Cyprus Issue, Environmental Challenges and Energy Security. In this session, we will be hosting Professor Dr. Zekai Şen, Associate Professor Dr. Hamza Kandemir, and Mr. Cemal Aslan from Turkey, Dr. Widodo from Indonesia, Dr. Tarek Merabtane from United Arab Emirates, and Professor Dr. Bin Chen from the People's Republic of China. As our first speaker, I would like to announce Professor Dr. Zekai Şen to make his presentation.
Çok teşekkür ederim başkanım. I'm going to make the presentation in English. My native language is Turkish. Okay, so let me start. Now I'm going to talk about the innovative renewable energy resources under climate change impact. Of course, climate change started for the last 40 years, we may say, but there were also innovative renewable energy resources even in the history. So I would like to touch about the evolution of renewable energy resources up to date. Now let me go to my first slide. Now humanity has decided that there were four materials which are very essential for humanity. These were air, today we say atmosphere, and that was before the Christ about 2,500 years ago, or 3,000 years ago, and land, water, and fire. If you think about these four sort of materials, which one of them is not under the effect of climate change today? They were not under the climate change in the past, but today they are very much exposed to climate change. Now, if you look at the second chart in the bottom, then we will discuss climate change, hydrological cycle, which is related to water and environment. Now, the first thing is that why do we have the climate change? The population is increasing, demographic sort of patterns are changing, increasing. Every society and country wants to have economic growth, and therefore, in a way, unfortunately, many sort of societies, they are not producing too much, but consumption is very high because modern lifestyle requires consumptive sort of activities, and they are related to energy, fire in the past. So what happens? In that case, of course, we have greenhouse gases emissions into the atmosphere, which were not there before. About 100 years ago, it started. I will come to that later on. With the increase of population, of course, the humanity will need more food production, and more food production of course, leads to land use and land change, especially in modern times. And among these four materials which I mentioned above, then water becomes the most important so far because fire is energy, different types of energy, renewable energy, and also, fossil sort of energies are being used, but the water does not have any substitution. All right. And therefore, the water resources will be under the stress, and that will cause to climate change. So that climate change, land use and land change, and water withdrawal will cause, some sort of intensification in hydrological cycle. Yeah. And today, if somebody would ask what is the most dangerous sort of material which is subject to climate change, I think many people will agree that the water resources are under, stress. And I'm happy to see that yesterday there were a lot of people who talk about the water. Even later on, I have seen in the list there are other, speakers who are going to concentrate on water resources and the climate change. And then what will happen, of course, after all these activities of humanity for the last 40, 50 years, of course, starting from the 100 years ago, then there might be a drought, which we are experiencing in many places, and floods. In many places, you see, even they are urban or rural, especially in urban areas, the floods are causing a lot of damage, not only human life, but also the property. And therefore, aridity is increasing, and also desertification is also increasing, and therefore groundwater recharge becomes very important because surface waters are not are bound to be polluted. That is one thing. And another thing is that, of course, groundwater resources are the most important for humanity. Now, let me go to the next slide. Okay. Now, if you think about the climate change, there are different sort of activities which are related to this, dynamic process, which is air, as I mentioned before, atmosphere, quality. Desertification is taking place in many parts, and human, animal, and plant life is being subject to climate change. Forests, so far as Turkey is concerned, of course, we are rather a rich country as far as the forests are concerned. But unfortunately, at some places, not only in Turkey, but in many countries where there are dense sort of forest areas, they are becoming deforested. And water, all of these are related to energy resources. If you think about 200 years ago or 500 years ago, there was a natural sort of atmosphere. The human beings, they were not, causing any sort of, danger or risk for this. Okay, let me come to another one. As I said, there were four materials, starting from even before Christ. But then onwards, there were not scientific sort of activities as we have today, but there were some people who were very much interested in technology. Technology by using animal power, human power, water power, and wind power. Now I'm going to give you an example or three examples with the next two slides. That there was a guy who was living in the southern part of Turkey, Cizre, as we say, in the year 1200. And these are original drawings by this guy, Abul is al-Jazari. If you look at this picture, of course, you will see here a technology, unfortunately, which is not being explained in the word, technology, whereby the animal, is turning around a shaft, and all these gears and the threaded sort of, circular discs is moving due to animal power, horizontal, and then vertical. You know what this is? This is the beating of pastry. I mean, if you consider the quarters of threads, and this will move like hammers, and it will beat the pastry. When was that? That was about 1,000 years ago, 900 years ago. So then let us go to another one. Look, today many people, they are talking about the artificial intelligence. You see, don't you think that this guy has made artificial sort of intelligence, not scientifically perhaps, but technologically? Now here, water power, water energy is being used. How? Look at this robotic sort of pattern or robotic sort of picture. What happens is that from look at the end of these two pipes. You see, the water is being injected from right, left, right, left, right, left. In that case, of course, water will hit here, and therefore you can imagine these hands will move up and down, up and down, up and down. So the first father of robotic, devices is Abul Is al-Jazari. I think this is the last one where the wind energy is being used. Of course, you will agree with me that the animal energy and water energy and the wind energy, they are renewable energy with the terminology that we are using today. Okay, think about this instrument where we have, of course, panels over here, and you can imagine the wind sort of blowing. In that case, these panels will be moving, and it will move this gear over here. And if you look at it carefully, please look at it carefully. Here we have a cylinder and piston and crankshaft, everything. When was that?
And I think Professor Zekaishen is having some internet connections. He got disconnected from our live stream. I'm not sure waiting for Professor Shen is a good idea. He can join us later. But in order to proceed with the flow of the stream, may I ask Associate Professor Dr. Hamza Kandemir, if you are with us, Professor? I apologize, Professor Shen is back with us. Professor Shen, is everything all right?
Oh, what happened?
I think we have some internet issues.
Okay, where are my slides?
Okay, Professor,
So I
if you
will load
could,
it again. Okay,
if
I
you
will
could
load
share
that.
your slides again, please.
Okay. It is loaded. So can you help me to bring it, for others to see? Okay, okay, okay. We talk about this technological developments, and then if you look over here, you see, I want to talk about the evolution of modern civilization so far as energy, and therefore the climate change is concerned. Now, first of all, can we make it, larger? Okay, better. Now, there was, industrial revolution in 1860, where, biomass, oh, I don't know what's happening. Okay, I will come back. Biomass was used. You see, before that, of course, wood was also being used in many civilizations, before Christ and after Christ until the year of 1860. And then onwards, electricity revolution, of course, with this, the usage of coal came into the scene. Apart from this, in 1900, around 1900, of course, the automobile industry appeared as a revolution, and therefore oil, fossil energy resources started to be used. Unfortunately, these fossil, energy resources, they are the main source of atmospheric chemistry change, which causes to global warming and as well as the climate change. Then onwards, in 1950s, around 1950s, the computers, they came into the help of humanity, and the information revolution then took place. And then onwards, with the usage of natural gas, slowly the hydrogen energy revolution came into the mind of the people. And unfortunately, up to now, it has not been fully, discovered. But at the end, it will be. Then renewable energy revolutions in 2000, especially for instance, as Turkey is concerned, before 2000, there were not a lot of renewable energy sources. All were dependent on fossil fuels. And recently, after 2010, renewable energy methodologies. Of course, we say methodologies because over there is a machine learning and artificial intelligence, machine learning and deep learning and the things like this came into the scene, which are being extensively used for energy optimization and the savage and storage and the things like this, which we see in different sort of scientific journals. But however, on the other hand, as I have not over here methodologies, but there are also technologies being developed. And in the future, of course, we are expecting that the humanity will depend on hydrogen, whereby again, one of the main four materials, among which water will be used with solar energy. In that case, there will not be any sort of climate change impact. Perhaps very, small amounts, and the atmospheric chemistry will improve. Okay, let me go to the next one. Huh. So far as the climate change is concerned, the United Nations and IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, they have requested from each country to reduce or to make a projection for future 15 years. That was in after Paris Agreement. Okay, and Turkey, as the blue line over here, in 2015 suggested that in Turkey, the projections were in 2030, 1 billion and 175 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent. But during that time, in 2017, I was also involved in the I was also involved in the project. We did a project concerning this, greenhouse gas emissions in Turkey, and the project was supported by Ministry of environment and cities and climate change. At the end, we found that although the projection was very high, at the end it was 929 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent. So that's it. Then onwards, another Turkish greenhouse gas emissions are, as you see over here, according to our projections. Of course, this blue one is the trend. I mean, it is rather easy. But the green one is based on LEAP program because, United Nations puts a condition that every country should use LEAP program or another program which is very similar to this one. Although we wanted in Turkey to develop our programs, but unfortunately it was not allowed. Now, finally, what I want to say is that now energy sources must be more rationally used. Okay, everybody knows about this. And human health and environment, of course, due to the climate change, we are hearing that especially in hot weather during the summer time, human health being affected and environment also. Whenever we say environment, of course, we must not forget about the droughts and the floods and the landslides. These are very much related to weather conditions. Energy systems must be supported by new methods and technologies. New methods, these are scientific sort of approach and also technological sort of productions. We are hearing every day that there is some improvements of as technological gadgets are concerned in order to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases emission into the atmosphere. And alternative energy resources must be used in an optimum manner, and that optimality is being achieved by, automotive sort of procedures, scientific procedures, as I mentioned earlier, artificial neural networks, intelligence, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and recently on these days, which is very sort of very sort of modern way is deep learning. It became a sort of fashion now. And social and economic expectations of human must be satisfied. When we think about the climate change, of course, all we consider initially that energy resources usage. But however, don't forget that the wastage of human more than what they need is causing to climate change also. So we must not expect everything from our governments or from our state or local sort of administrators. Yes, they have some plans to apply to reduce the climate change, but however, as an individual, we must also take into consideration, are we going to contribute to greenhouse gases emission to the atmosphere? And in the future, of course, there will be other alternatives, and these alternatives, as I said, at the end, it will come to hydrogen energy, which is the salvage of human beings, so as to avoid or get rid of climate change. Reliability, sustainability, suitability, cost effectiveness, and especially storage of energy are among other research activities. Renewable energy efficiency and density, of course, this has been applied in Turkey and in many other countries since many years. Okey Mustafa Hoca, bu benim artık burada duruyorum. Soru varsa sorulara cevap vereyim. Efendim, Mustafa Hoca, this is the end of my presentation. If you have any sort of question in Turkish or in English, please don't hesitate.
Okay, Professor Shen, thank you very much for this very valuable presentation. if there are any questions, I will be forwarding the questions to you at the end of the session. Because currently it looks like we don't have any question, but if any question arises, I will be directing the questions to you, Professor.
Okay, thank you very much for your assistance.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. As our next speaker, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Hamza Kandemir to deliver his presentation. Sir, welcome. Professor Kandemir, your mic is muted.
Okey. Sesim geliyor mu?
Sesinizi duyabiliyoruz hocam.
Merhabalar tekrardan. Doğu Akdeniz enerji sahasında askeri politikaya yönelik bir çalışmayı sunmaya çalışacağım. Yani uluslararası makalelerde Türkiye değerlendirmelerinin bakış açısını değerlendirmek üzere bir çalışma yaptım. Aslında ben işletme yönetim organizasyon alanında bir araştırmacıyım ancak enerji politikaları, uluslararası ilişkilerle alakalı bir çalışma yapmış durumda kaldım. Aslında bunun sebebini şu şekilde izah etmek istiyorum. Türkiye'de yeteri kadar Doğu Akdeniz meselesine önem verilmediğini, bu noktada da çeşitli ortamlarda bunun değerlendirme tartışmalarını yapıyorken bir arkadaşıma bunun ne kadar kıymetli ve önemli olduğunu anlatabilmek için uluslararası yayınlarda Türkiye değerlendirmelerinin neler olduğunu kendisine izah ettiğinde bunun bir bilimsel sempozyumda sunulmasının faydalı olabileceğini kendisi bana iletti. Sonrasında da acizane uluslararası ilişkiler uzmanı olmamama rağmen Türkiye politiği üzerinde ilgimden dolayı böyle bir çalışmayı yapmış bulunmaktayım. Öncelikle 2009 yılları üzerinden hareket etmek gerektiğini düşünüyorum. Çünkü 2009 yılına kadar henüz bir enerji sahası keşfedilmediği için, bununla alakalı uluslararası gelişmeler yaşanmadığı için Doğu Akdeniz, Kıbrıs düzlemi enerji koridoru anlamında Avrupa'nın önemli bir enerji güvenliği koridoru olarak bir önemi bulunmaktaydı. Çünkü ortada petrollerin Avrupa'ya aktarılması bu kanal üzerinden sağlanabilirdi ve bundan dolayı da Doğu Akdeniz enerji koridoru güvenliği bağlamında önemli bir yer tutuyordu. 2010 yılına gelindiğinde sempozyumun tanıtım bildirgesinde de yer aldığı gibi ABD Jeoloji Araştırmaları Kurumu Doğu Akdeniz'de 1,7 milyar varil petrol ve 3,5 milyar metreküp doğal gaz rezervinin ilk kez bilimsel olarak açıklamasını yaptı. Daha sonra da İtalyan Eni firması işte daha farklı bir sahada gaz buldu. Peşi sıra 2022 yılına gelene kadar da birçok noktada doğalgaz ve petrolün varlığı çeşitli araştırma bilimleri bakımından ilan edildi. Tabii bundan sonra Doğu Akdeniz'in güçlü ülkeleri için önemli bir oyun sahası haline dönüştü ve bu oyun sahası içerisinde işte dünyanın en güçlü ülkeleri, birlikleri yer alırken Doğu Akdeniz'e kıyısı olan Kıbrıs ve Türkiye'de bu sürecin doğal olarak içinde yer almış oldu. 2011-2016 yılları Türkiye perspektif açısından değerlendirildiğinde ciddi kaosun yaşanmaya başladığı yıllar haline döndü. Sadece Türkiye'de mi bunlar oldu? Tabii ki sadece Türkiye değil, Doğu Akdeniz'e kıyısı olan diğer ülkelerde de Mısır'da 2013'te askeri darbeyle yönetim değişti. 2011 yılında Suriye'de iç karışıklık başladı ve halen devam etmekte. Yine 2013 yılında Libya'da askeri darbe girişimi yapıldı. 2016'da şu anda lideri ABD'de olan organizasyonun, terör örgütünün askeri darbe girişimi yaşandı. Bunların hepsinin ülkelerin iç sorunundan ziyade Doğu Akdeniz'de doğalgaz ve diğer enerji kaynakları rezervlerinin bulunmasından kaynaklı olduğunu söylemek bir komplo değil, doğal bir sonuç olduğu ifade edilebilir ki zaten bölgede yer alan her ülkenin iç karışıklıkla huzurlarının bozulduğunu söylememiz mümkün. 2020 yılına gelindiğinde Türkiye, Libya işbirliğiyle Türkiye artık yaşadığı iç sorunlardan kurtuldu ve Doğu Akdeniz'e yönelik önemli bir uluslararası politika. Uluslararası politika içerisinde hepimizin bildiği açış konusunda da yer alan ön plana çıkarmış olduğu Mavi doktrini üzerine bir perspektif ve Türkiye Doğu Akdeniz artık Mavi penceresinden bakmaya başladı. Bu bölgenin içerisinde bakış açısı Türkiye ve Kıbrıs Türkiye için ciddi de beraberinde getirmeye başladı. Bu çalışmayı yapmamdaki önemli sebeplerden biri platformda, ortamda anlatmaya çalışıyorum. Türkiye'nin birinci derecede dış politika meselesi Doğu Akdeniz'dir. İkinci sırada gelen ise Suriye meselesidir. Ve bu Türkiye'nin gelecek 100 yılını etkileyebilecek nitelikte öneme haizdir diyebiliriz. Yani Doğu Akdeniz'deki gelişmeler Türkiye ve Kıbrıs Türkiye için tarihin en büyük tehdidi olarak da değerlendirilebilir. Bu bakış açısıyla meseleye bakıldığında Türkiye'deki işte ekonomik sorunlar, göçmen sorunları, mülteci sorunları, diğer sorunlar elbette ki bulunmakta ama öncelikli olarak en önemli sorun Doğu Akdeniz meselesi ve hemen arkasından gelen Suriye meselesi. Ve Türkiye bu noktada ne yapıyor? Yani gördüğümüz gibi sahada Suudi Arabistan, Mısır, Bahreyn, Birleşik Arap Emirlikleri işte muhalif halk gücüyle yer alıyor. Diğer taraftan Rusya, İran, Suriye, Yunan, Hizbullah başka bir blok olarak yine sahada yer alıyor. Girit adasında işte Kıbrıs Rum kesiminin ABD'nin ve bazı AB ülkelerinin İsrail'le Libya denklemin içerisinde asgari olarak diğer taraftan enerji sahalarında araştırma yapan aynı zamanda uluslararası anlaşmalar imzalayarak kendi menfaatlerini enerji arzına sahip olma girişimlerinde görebilmemiz mümkün. Peki biz Türkiye'de bu meselenin bu kadar önemli olduğunu iddia ederken mesele yabancı isimlerin yaptığı bilimsel çalışmalarda nasıl görünüyor? NEDOS 2021'de yaptığı bir çalışmada Türkiye'nin Mavi Vatan doktriniyle bölgesel gücünü giderek arttırdığını ifade ediyor. Mısır'ın İsrail'le birlikte Türkiye'yi bastırması yani bir oraya uygulaması gerektiğini ifade ediyor. Yine bunun yanında Yunanistan'ın bölgeye Türkiye'ye karşı daha güçlü olabilmek için ABD partnerliğini öneriyor. NEDOS burada neden önemli? NEDOS hem Yunan bir diplomat, ben Yunan bir akademisyen bakısını da kendi milli menfaatleri önünde bulundurarak yapıyor. Bu açıdan değerlendirdiğimde aslında ABD ve Fransa partnerliğinin biz 2021 yılından itibaren sahada varlığında görmekteyiz. Fransa ile birlikte yapılan askeri tatbikatlar, ABD'nin yoğun bir şekilde adalara ve Yunanistan anakarasına askeri birliklerini sevk etmesi, savunma sanayi malzemelerini olabildiğince teknolojilerini buraya getirebilmesi gördüğümüz üzere ABD'nin Doğu Akdeniz ve Ege'de yoğun bir faaliyet içerisinde olduğunu gösteriyor. Ve bu noktada da Doğu Akdeniz'de önemli tehdit de Türkiye olarak algılanıyor. Bu gelecekte olası bir sıcak çatışmaya dönüşmesi çok çok muhtemel. O yüzden Türkiye'deki tüm işte vatandaşların, toplumun Doğu Akdeniz meselesinde e, daha uyanık olması, daha çok benimsemesi milli menfaatler açısından, yine Kıbrıs için yine milli menfaatler açısından çok çok önemli. Ki Kıbrıs meselesinde Saname ve Cedid'in 2020'de yapmış olduğu çalışma, ki bunlar Lübnanlı araştırmacılar, Doğu Akdeniz gazını müttefik Rusya ve İran bakış açısıyla değerlendiriyor ki Suriye'de yaptığı anlaşmalardan dolayı Suriye deniz kıta sahanlığında petrol arama hakkına sahip uluslararası anlaşmaları gereği. Bu açıdan değerlendirdiğinde de yine karşılarına Türkler çıkıyor ve bu çalışmada buradaki gazdan faydalanmanın önündeki en büyük engelin Türkler olduğunu ve bu çalışmalarında da Kıbrıs Türk düğümü metaforuyla izah ediliyor. Nitekim 2022 yılının Aralık 22 aralığına geldiğimizde de bunun bir Türk düğümü olarak artık ifade edilebileceğini ifade etmemiz mümkün. Strigunov 2021 çalışmasındaysa burada Rus bakış açısı, yani akademik bir Rus bakış açısı değerlendirdiğimizde ABD'nin küresel etkisinin zayıfladığı öngörüsünde bulunuyor ve Rusya ve Türkiye'nin bir pozisyon alma şanslarının bu sayede ortaya çıktığını ve bunun da batılı olmayan çok kutuplu küresel düzen kuramıyla yorumluyor. Yani ABD'ye bağımlı, ABD izniyle Doğu Akdeniz sahasında yer almaktansa çeşitli partnerliklerle çok kutuplu bir küresel düzeni ortaya koymak mümkündür ifadesini görüyoruz. Aslında burada Rusya-Ukrayna çatışması, işte Çin'in Tayvan'la çatışması, batılı olmayan çok kutuplu küresel düzenin pratikte, eylemde, gerçek hayat içerisinde bir şekilde o sancılı doğumu yapmaya çalıştığında gözlemlememiz mümkün. Nitekim yine burada Türkiye'nin pozisyon alma şansını görmesi, Türkiye'nin sahada güçlü bir oyuncu, güçlü bir aktör olduğunu da ortaya koyuyor. Türkiye'den bir çalışmaya baktığımızda ise son yapılan çalışmalardan bir tanesi 2016 darbe girişiminden sonra Mao doktrinin benimsenmesi ve Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Devleti'nin yöneticisi Tayyip Erdoğan ve birlikte hareket ettiği Devlet Bahçeli'nin etkisiyle birlikte milliyetçi ve muhafazakar bir politikayı benimsediği ve dış politikada da iddialı bir eğilim gösterdiği ifade ediyor. Yani edilgen bir ülke olmaktansa etken bir ülke haline dönüşmeyi ifade ediyor. Burada da aslında Türkiye'nin Doğu Akdeniz sahasında kendi menfaatleri, Türk milletin menfaatleri üzerinden hareket ettiğini ifade edebilmemiz mümkün. Eces 2022 çalışmasına baktığımızda ise bu da Orta Doğu'da, Irak'ta bir araştırmacının çalışması. Bu çalışmada Türkiye'nin değerlendirmesi stratejik ve ekonomik kalkınmada enerjinin önemli bir dayanak olduğunu ifade ediyor, nitekim de öyle. Ve bundan dolayı da Türkiye'nin var olma gayretinin ana hedefini enerji ihraç eden ülkeler kulübüne girme amacının olduğunu ifade ediyor. Nitekim bu sahada bulunan rezervler %98 enerji bağımlılığı dışa bağlı şekilde olan Türkiye hayati bir önem taşımakta. En önemli aslında bu çalışmalar içerisinde değerlendirebileceğimiz, bunu bir Amerikan, Almanya bakış açısı olarak da değerlendirebiliriz. Rao ve diğerleri 2022'de Türkiye'nin Doğu Akdeniz Enerji Forumu'na katılmaması, yani davet edilmemesi, yer verilmemesi ile birlikte gerginlik artmış durumda. Bu gerginliğin ile birlikte aslında bu sahada her ne kadar gaz olsa da ya da işte petrol rezervleri bulunmuş olsa da güvenli olmayan bir sahaya uluslararası petrol şirketlerinin gönül rahatlığıyla yatırım yapması iyi bir durum söz konusu olacaktır. Çünkü Türk donanması ilgili olan her noktasında yer almakta ve yüksek bir çatışma riskini de ortaya koymaktadır. Bu riski göz önünde bulunduran işte oyuncular sürekli işte her gün yeni bir gelişmeyle farklı bir ortamı yaratmaya çalışmaktalar. Buradaki bakış açısı şu şekilde gerçekleşmiş. Doğu Akdeniz'in enerji dönüşüm odaklı yeniden haritalanması ve kapsayıcı yeni bir bölgesel formatın düşünülmesi gerektiği ifade ediliyor ki araştırmacıların Alman ve kurumun da Alman Uluslararası İlişkiler Güvenlik İlişkileri kurulması bakış açısının artık Doğu Akdeniz'de uluslararası hukuka uygun bir bölüşümün yapılması gerekliliği üzerine bina edilmiş. Bu açıdan da değerlendirildiğinde 16 Aralık yani 6 gün öncesi çıkan bir haberde Brüksel'de yapılan Türkiye, Yunanistan ve İspanya temsilcilerin bir arada yaptığı bir görüşmeyle birlikte Yunan basınının ifadesiyle buzların etkisine yönelik ön adımların olduğu ifade ediliyor. Yani bölge çok hareketli, çok dinamik. 2022 yılının başında çıkan bir makaleyle 2022 yılının sonunda çıkan bir makale arasında da sahayı değerlendirmek bakımından çok ciddi farklı olabileceğini ifade edebilmemiz de mümkün. Bu bakımdan değerlendirildiğinde bunları aslında hani yeniden söylemiş oluyoruz da mesela biraz da 2023'te Türkiye'de yapılacak olan seçimler. Bu seçimler bağlamında Doğu Akdeniz politikası, Suriye politikası, yine aynı şekilde Türkiye'nin Karabağ politikası, Türk Devletleri Teşkilatı politikası, Ukrayna savaşında aldığı pozisyon bu seçimlere bağlı olarak değişme ihtimali içerisinde barındırıyor. Nitekim Libya'ya Türkiye'nin asker göndermesi ve konuşlandırması Türkiye'de meclis kararıyla gerçekleşiyor ve bu meclis kararına bakıldığında mecliste grubu bulunan CHP'nin ve HDP'nin buraya asker gönderilmesine onay vermediğini, yine aynı şekilde Suriye'ye asker göndermesine izin vermediğini, CHP içerisinde de böyle bir yaklaşımın olduğu düşünüldüğünde Millet İttifakı bloğunun en büyük yapısının kazanması ihtimali Suriye politikasının, işte Doğu Akdeniz politikasının ne yöne doğru gideceği noktasında büyük bir soru işaretini beraberinde getiriyor. Nitekim Türkiye dış politikadaki ılımlılıklarını atmaya başladı. Mart ayından itibaren ilk olarak İsrail'le görüştü. İsrail Cumhurbaşkanı Türkiye'ye geldi. Bu uzun yıllardır gerçekleşmeyen bir diplomatik süreçti. Arkasından Tayyip Erdoğan'ın çok sert bir şekilde eleştirdiği Sisi ile Dünya Kupası münasebetiyle karşı samimi bir şekilde selamlaşıyor olması. İşte Mart ayında yine Yunanistan Türkiye arasında samimi bir görüşme olması ama sonra Yunanistan'ın bu görüşmeye uygun bir şekilde hareket etmeyişi. Birleşik Arap Emirlikleri ciddi sorunları olan Türkiye yine Mart ayı itibariyle bu sorunları gidermeye yönelik adımlar atması ve çeşitli anlaşmalar imzalaması aslında hepsi Doğu Akdeniz'deki ciddi bir sorunun hem Türkiye ile hem diğer ülkelerle hakkaniyetli bir şekilde çözüm arayışlarının olduğunu bize gösteriyor. Önemli olan seçim sonuçları Türkiye'nin Doğu Akdeniz devlet politikasını değiştirebilecek mi bakış açısı. Buradan Cumhur İttifakı olarak tanımlanan Türkiye'de bloğun Doğu Akdeniz, Suriye ve diğer uluslararası politikalar çerçevesinde neler yaptı ve bundan sonra nasıl alacağı gayet basit, net bir şekilde gözlemleyebiliriz. Ancak rakip olan diğer ittifak grubunun henüz Doğu Akdeniz, Suriye ve diğer uluslararası politikalar noktasında net bir yol haritasını ilan ettiğini, deklare ettiğini, kamuoyuna açıkladığını görmemekteyiz. İşte bu büyük bir soru işareti olarak karşımıza çıkıyor. Bu soru işaretinin giderilmesi 2023 seçimleri olacaktır ve Türkiye aynı zamanda ve Libya'nın mevcut hükümeti de bu süreçten önemli bir şekilde etkileneceği gözlenmekte. Burada siyah ve beyaz iki senaryo üzerinden bir değerlendirme yapacak olursak Türkiye uluslararası hukuktan hak alamazsa bölgede çatışma riskini yükseltecek ve hem Türkiye için hem de rakip olan diğer ülkeler için olumsuz bir tablonun var olabileceğini, yani 74 Barış Harekatı'ndan sonraki o sıkıntılı zamanlara dönülebileceği, ancak bunların da milli menfaatler çerçevesinde alınmış bir karar olacağını söyleyebilmemiz mümkün. Türkiye'nin ve diğer partner ülkeler, komşu ülkelerin aslında faydasına olan ve en önemlisi Avrupa'nın faydasına olacak senaryo, beyaz senaryoysa Türkiye'nin gücü perspektifinde de bu enerji dünyasının güvenliğini sağlamak, çok daha düşük maliyetli enerjinin Avrupa'ya taşınması gün kılınarak yeni bir anlaşma zemini olabilir. Bu bakış açısı sorunun çözüme kavuşabilmesi mümkündür. Türkiye tarafından edilendir şeklinde son gelişmeleri göz önünde bulundurduğumuz mümkündür diye. Benim alanın uzmanı olmadan bakış açısı geliştirmem biraz da aslında Türkiye'de konunun tamamıyla toplum tarafından yeteri kadar anlaşılamaması, değerlendirilememesi, göz önünde bulundurulamaması ve bundan kaynaklı olarak da en önemli meselenin toplum tarafından bilinmeyişi meselesi beni rahatsız etmişti. Bundan dolayı böyle bir organizasyona katılmak, böyle bir izahat yapmak benim için önemliydi. Bu açıdan organizasyonu yapan Yakında Üniversitesi ve organizasyon başkanı olarak yoğun emek sarf eden Profesör Doktor Hüseyin Gökçekuş hocamı ve diğer katılımcıları emeklerinden dolayı teşekkür ediyorum. Anlatacaklarım bu kadar. Mustafa Hocam.
Konuşmanız için teşekkür ederiz.
Sayın Hocam.
Okay, thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Hamza Kandemir, for your valuable presentation. As our next participant, I would like to invite Dr. Tarek Merabtane from United Arab Emirates. Dr. Tarek, can you hear me, Professor?
Yes.
Yes. Doctor, may I kindly ask you, before you start your presentation, to share your screen with us?
Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible, Doctor. But I would appreciate it if you can make it full screen. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Doctor.
You are most welcome. Thank you. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I would like, first of all, to express my thanks and gratitude to the organizing committee of this wonderful conference. I have heard a lot of important discussions yesterday and today about the applications of artificial intelligence and how they can really improve our way to work on a better decision making and a better future, let me say, for the management of our valuable water resources. I would like to really thank Professor Hussein Jokchok for, sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly, for inviting me as a keynote speaker to this conference. My talk today is as entitled to look at some of my experience and my applications of artificial intelligence and evolutionary computing in hydrology. Well, I will use rainfall runoff modeling and water demand as specific examples, just to show where do we stand really in the aim of presenting the knowledge and the science to the community. I heard yesterday very important talk from the important members that what we are doing today is not only for us, it's for the future generations. Is really to are we really developing feasible and practical solutions to our decision makers, to those engineers that we are teaching at the university. We are sending them to companies, to consulting companies, to do management of our water resources. Now, our role as a researcher is to develop tools to help them really improve their way of doing practical applications. Well, I have put in mind to give 3 different examples, but I think the time will not be enough for today. So I will concentrate on how to make a decision support system in order to support decision makers in really understanding what can hydrologic models bring as a plus if the right tools are used. Well, the applications that we are working on is an application that is from my studies in Japan. And the city we are looking at is a city that is very vulnerable to drought. So because the rain is only occurring during May, June, and July, any lack of rain during those 3 months will create a very big dilemma within the water supply system and water management system of that city. Now, the water system by itself is a very complicated system, as you can see from this pictograph. So we have 7 dams, 8 purification stations, about 8 or 7 water drawing from rivers, and etc., etc. So many inputs and so many valuable resources that we need to take care of. So we have data, and you can see, and we all know. Professor Yael yesterday spoken about the importance and of data-driven analysis, and our data in hydrology, and unfortunately are very complex and extremely variable in times and space. So what I'm going to present today is how can we really integrate all these hydrological models, and what kind of tool would really help decision makers to improve his way of handling, first of all, the data, and then handling the models that he is really entitled to use. Of course, this is an example of just the importance of creating an interactive interface for we'll use a pen maybe to share, to highlight. So the importance of the decision makers to choose the period that he wants to analyze, the period that is maybe similar to the one that is projecting into the future using past data. Well, the importance of this assessment that I'm presenting to you lies here in this area. So if you can see, there is a pattern of rainfall runoff here, and there is a drought, which is not very severe at this time, and there is another rain season here, which is okay. The rain season came back here, which is okay, but here we are missing the rainy season, which means that the city will enter a very severe drought situations. When you look at the data, when you look at the rainfall, for instance, you don't see that much, especially people who are not living in a water-stressed country. When you see the difference between 1,600, this is a cumulative annual rainfall, and the rain during the drought, which is only 1,200. So you are saying that, well, it's only 400 millimeters of rain that is different. So how come this could create a water stress? Well, for this is important to look at. Well, this is another station just to show that we are taking water from rivers, and in one of the river, the river basin, the rain was 2,200. During the drought, it dropped to 1,200. This is maybe more appealing because it shows that we are losing around 1,000 millimeter of cumulative rain. What is important is to look at this graph here. This is actually the average and the normal year water management or water storage in the total 8 dams that we have and we are really working on. And then when the drought hits in 1994, you can see that the water storage dropped about 20 million cubic meters. So this loss of volume has created a very intense water stress and created a panic. You are talking about a country that is really advanced in many issues of water management, but still at that time people had to go out to the street and fill up water for their houses. So the question is, we don't want this to happen again. We want to really develop a model that can really help those populations not to suffer again from these similar situations in the future. This is to show how the complex is the system. Well, this is the story about the problem we are facing. And in order to solve this problem, you need rainfall runoff modeling, you need water demand modeling, and you need, of course, a reservoir operation model. To this, I have developed a fully interactive interface where all the models can be manipulated by the user. So this is the model, the database system. This is the rainfall runoff model, the water demand, and the reservoir operation. So when we look at one by one, I would start with the rainfall runoff model. Here, the user can manipulate the parameters. But what is important to say to any decision makers and what to say to our students to whom we are teaching water resources is that it's not only the matter of having this hydrograph really mimicked and perfectly represented, but also to make sure that whatever is represented in the hydrograph could be really found in the storage, because this storage is the one that is being used for the management purposes. What model we are using? We are using the Sugawara tank model, which is a very old model, 1956, but improved in 1979, and this is the version we are working on. These are the equations. I'm not going to go through, but what is important to know is just that the model will have 16 unknowns to be calibrated, and to do this calibration you can do it manually. So people who are using my decision support system can do this manually, but this is not really effective for someone who has no experience. So you need some tool to help those non-experienced engineers in hydrological modeling to really work on on much more efficient way to calibrate the model. Well, this is just to show that this is not very simple model because it's differential equations, so that you have to go back and forth into solving those differential equations while you are trying to calibrate the parameters. I will go faster. We have used two models. What I'm going to show here is only two models of many we are using. The genetic algorithm, I'm not going to go through the details. Everyone who is involved in artificial intelligence knows that in evolutionary computing, there are many global optimization technique. And now we are hearing the wolf, we are hearing the whale, we are hearing the peacock. So many new evolving and emerging global optimization technique that can be also tested. But what I showing here is about genetic algorithm and then the particle swarm optimization. So those are the two methods that I've been using. And of course, in order to use an optimization technique, as Professor Jaid yesterday was very picky on these objective functions. I really liked the way he presented the importance of the evaluation criteria, because this is the working space. This is the space we are looking at what you are calling and what you are claiming to be the optimal values. So those optimal values will depend on which objective functions you are using. I'm just presenting here two of the many that are available. And we apply genetic algorithm, we apply the SWAN optimization technique. And guess what? When you look at the graph here, when you look at the graphic, you can see that not all the peak have been perfectly captured. So there is a lack of the efficiency of the model, but still it's quite acceptable. I cannot present all the result. There are that are much better result than this one, but I presented this one, which is not very good, just to show that not all the methods would really give you what you are expecting. Much more complicated than that, much more complicated than what I have, as I said, is not only to reproduce the hydrograph, is to make sure that did we really reach an optimal solution? Did we really obtain something that is valuable for the decision makers? The answer is no. None of these models were able to really find an optimal value of the 16 parameters. This is the changes in the Nash values, but look at those parameters. Well, some of the parameters are almost in the optimum level. You can see that there is a straight line, so we could reach some optimal value for those parameters, but many of the other parameters are far from being an optimal. So the conclusion here is that even we are using evolutionary computing, we are still far from really satisfying what a decision maker really needs in practical, complex situations. The other model I'm going to show you quickly is the demand forecasting model. This is the user interface that the user can really work on. With showing some of the coefficients for each month and each day and so on, and this is some of the results that are used by just a simulation. Now, what we did with the University of Near East University and with my colleagues that are mentioned here, with my colleagues Dilber, Uzan, and Dr. Abdullah, and forgot the name, but we have been working and trying to use those data and apply some machine learning to that. So we have applied with our colleague in Near East University 4 different methods that are very famous in machine learning that are shown here. I'm not going to go through the description because this is not the objective. So we have support vector regression, least square boost, the Gaussian process regression, and the stepwise linear regression. Again, for each of these methods, you need an objective function, you need evaluation criteria. Here, instead of only using 2, we are using 4 criteria. But what I want to emphasize on is that here we are trying to do hard prediction using only rainfall as input. So we want to predict this complex water demand variation using only rainfall as an input, which is not always an easy task, but we wanted to check whether those claimed evolutionary computing, machine learning techniques are really efficient to the problems in hydrology, the problems of chaotic variations of variables in hydrology. And as you can see here, there is practically no correlation between the rainfall and the water demand that we are trying to predict. Guess what? None of the standalone machine learning was able and capable to reproduce the highly complex variation of our water demand, especially during the drought, which is our main target. Is there a possibility to improve? What we did in this research is to try some hybrid method where we are now going to mix those known methods here. So we are going to mix those methods. Sorry, my screen is stuck. I'm not sure what is happening. My screen is not responding. Please allow me 1 minute. I think my computer is okay. Okay, I'm back. Please let me know if the time is up so that I can move faster. So as I said here, that none of the standalone techniques that are claimed to be very powerful was able to reproduce our chaotic and highly variable demand data. What we did here is to use a combination of those techniques, as you can see here at the bottom. So we have used the combined, or what we call hybrid techniques. And of course, we are very happy to announce that those techniques were able to improve our forecasting by 83%, including the most important part of our management system, that is the drought. Sorry again, my computer is freezing. I'm not sure why. I just want to show you one more example, if you allow me.
Okay, Dr. Tarek, if you would like, you can continue without making your screen full screen. I think it's because of the processing of the slides.
Okay. I will try that.
Dr. Tarek, can you please share your screen again with us?
Yes, I will do that. Is it showing?
Yes, we can see your screen,
Okay,
Doctor.
thank you. So just to save the time, because I'm running, I'm taking more than I should be. So I will just use this because I think my computer, as you said, is freezing because of the slides. So the next is to show that for a decision maker, what is important is really to apply advanced technique to bring all those models together. What I want to show here is that the application of reservoir operation needs, of course, to define the optimal water take from each of the dams and each of the rivers that are contributing to that water demand, to that complex water demand forecasting. So the idea here was to use what is known, what I call the drought risk index, and from this particular stand, it's important when a decision maker works on a drought management to really define the drought for the case study he is working on, and I think this is well known to our colleagues in hydrology. So the idea, of course, is to develop again, is to use some genetic algorithm, just the application of genetic algorithm that I'm going to show today to that scenario. So you have 7 dams, and you have seen that the water storage in the dam has dropped about 20 million, which is practically empty. That is the picture, the first picture of my slide. The dams were completely empty. Is there a way to improve this situation using some evolutionary computing techniques? The answer is yes. So we developed some based risk analysis, and what I want to show here, maybe we can concentrate on this result here. This is the actual scenario. This is the scenario where the reservoir was empty, and these are the scenarios that could be obtained using genetic algorithm. You can see that we have made a big improvement in terms of the storage that is available for the period of the drought. Now, the question is, are we doing well? Well, this graph shows you that, of course, the risk assessment model that we are using is working perfect, and that there is a convergence toward very low risk. But are we saying that our model is perfect? The answer is no. Look at these results here. Let me take maybe the pen. So if you look at the results here, so the results in this slide here shows that we are far from gaining the right results. Well, with that, I would like to conclude that the decision support system is very important to implement and to help decision makers make the right decisions. Of course, make the right decision in terms of water management. The genetic algorithm and the swarm optimization were not able to really optimize the tank model unless so many papers that I have read in the literature. This is, I can confess that none of them properly worked, although using the Nash evolution, the Nash coefficient presented the practically higher ability to reproduce the hydrograph. The other point is that none of the machine learning, the standalone machine learning, was able to reproduce the water demand forecasting, but hybrid models could improve the results by 83%. The last conclusion is that the combination of the risk model and the evolutionary computing, I would say the genetic algorithm has presented much better performance of the management system, and we could improve the management compared to the actual one by about 40%. With that, I would like to conclude and really thank you for your attention, and really thank you for having me today as a presenter in this wonderful and excellent conference, which I wish all the success for the rest of today and tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tarek, for your nice presentation. So machine learning is a very important topic. It's a hot trending topic, and I wish you good luck in your studies, Dr. Tarek. So our next speaker in this session is Professor Dr. Bin Chen from the People's Republic of China. Professor Chen, are you with us? Professor Chen, can you hear me? I can see Professor Chen in the background, but unfortunately, I think he's having some connection problems. So before proceeding with our next speaker, we have a surprise guest for this session. It's Professor Tarzan Legovic from Croatia, but unfortunately he couldn't be with us today, but he has sent us his presentation, and I will be honored to share his presentation with you here. So I will be reading through Professor Legovic's slides, and I hope I do it as good as him, but obviously I don't know how this will end. Okay, so the topic of Professor Legovic is verification and validation of a model for collusion of birds with wind turbines. The introduction section, it is well known that rotating blades of wind turbines present a risk to birds collision. Since the collision estimate must be predicted in order to decide whether the wind farm may be constructed at a proposed location, about 20 models have been formulated. Models are regularly used to predict collisions of sensitive birds with rotating blades. However, a result has been published of monitoring after a set of wind farms have been built. It indicates that predictions were unreliable. Moreover, it showed that wind farms were built at places with more collisions than at research sites with less potential collisions. Although the reasoning in that paper may be subject to further analysis, it triggered a doubt. Are model results reliable, and if so, to what extent? The materials and methods section, the band model. The most often used in Europe is the band model developed for the Scottish Natural Heritage during more than 10 years and with the help of over 100 stakeholders. The model was built for use on locations of wind farms at the sea, hence model validation does not exist. How is collusion predicted? For each species of birds, the calculation is executed in two steps. Number of collisions is equal to number of birds which fly through the rotor, this is the first step, times the probability of collusion, which is the second step. In the first step, number of birds that fly through the rotor is, among others, proportional to the number of existing birds at the site. In the second step, using one bird present for 3 months, one gets 11,505 flights through 8 rotors and collision of 535 birds. Assume hawk flies 31% of the time in the rotor height, then the hawk flies 413 times per day through rotors, vertical transect only. Apart from the above silly result, what is the fundamental problem here? The model works with the density of birds, not with the number of birds present. Minor errors in calculations, number of flights per day off by about 3 orders of magnitude. Density of birds is constant regardless of earlier collisions. Birds' facultative usage of the area is not distinguished from obligatory usage. The ratio between rotors and farm area is not the ratio of directions of birds' flight. Validation. Prior to official use, models must be validated. Example, results of prediction must compare favorably to monitoring results while the wind farm is in operation. A comparison with results of 2 monitoring shows that the collision rate is much smaller than predicted. Through validation is in progress on all existing wind farms in Croatia. Conclusion, It is found that the predictions of the most used model overestimate collision of birds with blades of a wind turbine by 3 orders of magnitude. Verification has shown processes that need to be repaired. Validation using 2Y monitoring indicated a need for through validation, which is in progress. This is the end of Professor Legowitz's presentation, and thank you for listening to me. Okay, if Professor Chen is ready now, I would like to take him to live stream. Professor Chen? Hello, Professor? I think Professor Chen is not ready yet. Therefore, I would like to share with you a video of Dr. Widodo from Indonesia. He will be presenting us his research titled Analysis of the Grid-Based Water Carrying Capacity for Water Resources Conservation in Klaten District, Central Java Province. Okay, is the presentation of Dr. Widodo ready?
Catching a bus, never nothing when it's real, yeah, it does. I'm flying above, no bluffing, no worry, keep it coming, yeah, I've been saying something. Simply when she got it all, can you feel the rush? So let's go. Feel the rush, feel the rush. Adrenaline running through us. I'm catching a bus, never nothing when it's real, yeah, it does. I'm flying above, no bluffing, no worry, keep it coming, yeah, I've been saying something. Simply when she got it all, can you feel the rush? So let's go. Feel the rush, adrenaline running through us.
Sudah bisa, Pak?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me introduce myself. My name is Widodo Bronto-Wiono. I am from Department of Environmental Engineering, Islamic University of Indonesia, but we also call Universitas Islam Indonesia. My colleague and I are going to present about the water carrying capacity with special topic, with special title, Analysis of the Grid-Based Water Carrying Capacity for Water Resources Conservation in Klaten District, Central Java Province of Indonesia. First of all, let me appreciate to the President of the Third International Conference on CYPRUS Issues, Environmental Challenge and Energy Security, ECES 2022, Professor Hussein. I would like to appreciate also for the committee and also for all the participants, and also of course for the keynote speaker. Let me present about the brief of history of Indonesia. Let me have the pointers laser here. Yeah, Indonesia was in the beginning of the 1900. The Dutch was entered rich in Indonesia, and the company and the business, the trade was the beginning of the history of Indonesia. The long history, long occupying from the Dutch to Indonesia started in 1902 up to 1945. Yeah. In 1704, the first Japanese War started here, the second Japanese War, and here the Netherlands continued to take over more and more on the island. The first was only on Java, but later on, almost on the island Indonesia was occupied by Dutch here. And also 1942 and 1940 up to 1945, Japan was also occupying Indonesia during the Second World War. And Alhamdulillah, thank God, in August 17, 1945, Indonesia fully independent, free from the other countries who occupied Indonesia. This is the condition of population, global population, with the urban population and rural population, with related to Indonesian population also. The urban population tend to increase and the rural population tend to decrease. Of course, Indonesia also has the similar characterization, the similar pattern, that the rural population tend to decrease, the urban population tend to increase here. And nowadays, Indonesia, I think more than 50%, around 60% population in Indonesia live in urban areas. This is GDP per capita, about GDP per capita in Indonesia. That Indonesia actually really lies along the equator line. It means that Indonesia has a lot of resources, natural resources, including water resources. But according to this data, GDP per capita per 2018, the countries who close to equator line is also consider low level in GDP per capita, including Indonesia. Here, the data about rainfall. Indonesia here has higher, heavy rainfall. I think more than 2,000 millimeter per year, between 2,000 to 3,000, something like that. This Global Human Development Index, Indonesia is considered not very bad, but still not very good, in the middle compared to US, Australia, and so on. This is the number of deaths by risk factor in global level, that unsafe water sources and unsafe sanitation have significant significant sources for death in the global level, of course, also in Indonesia. This is the global death from disaster. Drought and flood in global level is dominant here, but in Indonesia, flood is the majority, and then the hurricane is the second one. Oh, and the hurricane is the first one. The second one is the flood. Yeah. So many flood disaster in Indonesia during the rainy season. This is the water challenge across Indonesia. We can see here that it is per island here. The Java Island is more stress, more serious, safer, more serious, critical thing in terms of water resources. Sumatra is much better, Kalimantan much better, Papua is much better, but still here Java and Bali. Java is worse than Bali, but Java and Bali considered worse in the national level. The surface water pollution in Indonesia, we can see here Java Island is dominated by the problem in Java in surface water pollution, river, lake, and many things and other things. This is the graph, the figure, the data, high and severe water stress in 128 river basin, 19, 30, and 45. You can see here, during the dry season, it would be very serious, 19, 23, and 30, and 2045. Within the scenario, in the projection, and we have very serious problem if we don't have any significant management approach, especially for the water resources. This annual water demand, the projection of annual water demand in Indonesia is tend to increase 31% from 2015 to 2045. This is the water source for domestic demand. Existing data, it was in 2019. This is the most and the highest one is the sources from groundwater, and the second one is from the surface water. Yeah, we can see here for surface water. No. 19. Oh, 19 is from spring, yeah, and 13 is from other sources. River and lakes also the fourth one. We can see the graph here, the linear correlation. When we use pipe water supply, the higher pipe water supply we use, the lower we consume water from groundwater. This is we call linear correlation. However, if we use the more groundwater, the lower we use the pipe water supply. Safe and unsafe water supply. You can see here Java here, around 14% is safe, and also of course around 66% is unsafe. It's been still a problem. Even though the government is very significant, serious program that we call 100, 0, 100. 100 for drinking water, 100% for drinking water services, and 0% for slum area, and 100% for sanitation services. But still, we have to approach this target. This is study area because in Klaten district, that the Klaten district is in central Java. With I mentioned before, that Java is the most populated, the most serious problem in terms of water resources and quality and quantity. This is the map of Klaten district. The top of the Klaten district area is on the top of the Merapi volcanic, that very active volcano, and very in 2010 we had very bad disaster from the volcano, but we have so many benefits also, of course, from the volcano. This is the profile that the economic income for Klaten is dominated by industry, processing industries, and agriculture also for trading. It's not very agraric. It's not very agraric developed. This is the poor. Yes, we can see here the data. Yeah, the Klaten is very poor compared to Java, Central Java, and compared to national level. However, thanks God that Human Development Index of Klaten still relatively increase. This is Klaten Environmental Quality Index. That's not bad. And this land use change, yeah, we have serious land use change, especially from agriculture to infrastructure to settlement and to other things, industries and so on. This is disaster in Klaten region here. The red one is very serious, very high. The yellow is the medium. The green is the low level disaster. The disaster this year 2021 is dominated by storm, landslide, floods, volcanic, and drought. This is the illustration of the situation during disaster, flood, for example, and drought. Yeah. Drinking water in Klaten, the service 2020, yeah, it's not bad. It was good. It covered about 91 or 92%. So still 8% still have to be developed more seriously. This is the illustration of the green space with was developed, with was constructed also in the urban area of Klaten. The green areas is managed very well. It reached about close to 66%, 67%. Yeah. And public open space has to be minimum should be 20%. But still lower on existing public space. So the dominant is for private public space. It is the carrying capacity scenario. I think we can look at the many paper, many journal, many textbook. Water carrying capacity in Indonesia was developed by so many formula, by so many references. We also use from the Ministry of Environmental and Forestry, and also from other references here. This is what we call environmental quality services that we are going to use to analyze, to calculate water carrying capacity in Klaten. We developed by using grid method. Yeah, this is one of the example how to calculate water supply using runoff base. It means that all the water resources is based on the runoff from the rainfall, from the rainwater, not from the groundwater, not from the sewage water, but based on the rainwater. Is runoff coefficient, for example, based on this map. And this map from the land cover of the Klaten area, that we can use it for calculate the water supply by using runoff coefficient. This is the grid system, but we developed here how to analyze the water carrying capacity in Klaten. This is one of the example overlay between water sheet map, grid map, and also environmental service index map. Yeah, here three layers we overlaid here. This is the distribution of the water per grid. We based on the land use also that we have shown before, the land use, and also the household water demand depend on also from the grid, depend also from the map of land cover, land use, and map of the population density. Here the weight we have score like weight score here. For example, this one, how to define the score, the road and the settlement, body weight, pump weight, airport, for example, and open space and sorry for open space lahan terbuka the same, but the score is 0. For the demand per grid, we can calculate by using the grid piece and also from the map overlay of maps before. So we can calculate by using polygon area with grid area with multiplied by width of land cover. Yeah, this is the example of road using unit, road unit. Yeah, this is the using population distribution also based on per grid so, of the population. This is household water demand per grid also continuing before. Household water demand for land-based economic activities, because different economic level, different economic activities would have different water demand. For business area would be different from agricultural area, and also different from domestic area. This is continuing the calculation analysis of water demand per grid. We can calculate difference between water availability and demand. Yeah, here. Population threshold, how many people would be safe, or how many population would be in critical area, in which area the people and the population would be safe, and which area and the people or population would be unsafe. This is per sub-district area. The Bayat sub-district and Gandiwarna sub-district has higher critical deficit area compared to others. But in general, totally still all are surplus here. All are surplus here, still safe. But inside this sub-district, some villages are in deficit situation. Yeah, this is the conclusion that in general still surplus in Klaten area for in terms of water resources carrying capacity, but still about 1.54% is unsafe deficit in this area. And we have to manage about that for the future, because the population growth, way of life changes, and climate change also, and also other factors. So we have to manage, we have to control from the from right now, from the beginning of the era. So then the future 50 years later, Klaten still in the situation of safe area in terms of water resources management. This is about the research what we have done last year. Not last year, this year, Klaten. Collaboration between government of Klaten and also PT Karunia Sejahtera, and we coordinated the research here, and so that we would like to appreciate to Klaten district government and also our team from PT Karunia Sejahtera. Thank you very much. And if you have any question, you may send us by my email, to my email that is here, widodo.bronto@zuii@ac@it. This is the email, my email address here. Yes, this is my email address. All right, thank you very much, and I hope I can see you anytime. We enjoy for the international conference. Happy success, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Widodo, for this nice presentation. So as our next speaker, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Bin Chen from People's Republic of China to make his presentation. Professor Chen.
Hello.
Welcome, Professor.
Yeah. I need to share the screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, Professor.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see, Professor. You can proceed.
Okay. It's okay now.
Yes, everything is perfectly fine, Professor.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for the invitation from the organizing committee. So I'm honored to give a presentation on the energy-water nexus for resilient cities. And here, the outline. I will introduce the background, and also followed by the water and energy metabolism, and also the concept and the framework of water energy nexus. Then I will outline, the water energy scheduling platform in Beijing, which is working for the long distance water transfer, from the south
Professor
to
Chen,
North China.
sorry for the intrusion.
And also, finally, I will give a perspective on the regulation for the urban transitions.
Professor Chen, I apologize for the intrusion, Professor. May I ask you to change your slides from the StreamYard? Because your slides are not turning.
I don't know, because I'm working on the PPT from my computer, but I don't know how to...
Please go to the StreamYard link, and then you can change your slides.
Oh, yes.
From there.
This
much
one,
better. Now
it's
it's
okay?
changing. Yes, it's perfect,
Okay, the
Professor.
background.
Thank you very much.
And this is, the water energy nexus. So what is the energy water nexus? It means that the water use and energy consumption are highly interwoven in the nexus, in the networks of regional economic activities. As you can see, there's the water for energy, and also energy for water, because you will consume a large amount of water during the energy production and also consumption. And meanwhile, you will also, consume lots of water during, lots of energy during the water production and transfer, and also the end use. So these two factors are highly interwoven in the socio-economic network. And we can see that the water for energy, for example, the energy industry is a major user of China's water. You can see, the water withdrawal, because almost 12% of the total water, for the are used for the water withdrawal, and also the water consumption, 4%. And the wastewater discharge, lots of energy, about 8%. So so that's a lot of water, for the energy consumption. And so we need the energy for water, because for example, in China, the electricity accounted for 33% of the cost of producing and also distributing water in China, because we need to, the pumping system, and also we need the electricity for the water transfer, and also for the wastewater treatment plant. We also need to supply the electricity for all the treatment processes. So the energy footprint of water division and the pumping has risen dramatically. And you can see the scarcity of energy and water in China, and massive amounts of water and energy are exploited for the rapid economic development, and also actually the large-scale urbanization. As in China, the urbanization rate has risen to more than 60%, so a large-scale urbanization. So there is an increasing demand on water and energy, which has further aggravated water and energy scarcity in China. And also there's an uneven distribution of energy and water. And you can see from the figure, we can see the figure on the left, on the right, the mismatch of the spatial distribution of water energy resources, which will threaten, the security of water and energy access. You can see, most of the energy, because like the coal and the fossil fuels, they are distributed in the north part and also the northwest part of China. But the water, most of them are distributed in the southeast part of China. So this is a mismatched part of the energy and water distribution in China. And we can see the water resources and also the coal resources. You can see the distribution, and also the energy production. You can see the installed capacity of the thermal power or some other hydropower plants, and also water resources distribution in the other side. So this is a mismatch between them. And second part, I will introduce some water and energy metabolism. The water metabolism, because here, in the city, for the water supply, we can consider two parts of the water system. One is the efficiency. We use the utility analysis, and also we analyze, the key pathways and the key sectors of the water supply and also end use system. Also the other side, we have to consider, the robustness, that is resilience of the system, that is how to make the water system work, and the city meet, the disasters, natural disasters like the shake or some other locking and other the natural disaster, and also the artificial ones like the exploitation or some other some other disasters. So this is two sides of the water system. One is efficiency, and the other is resilience. How we have to keep them keep the trade-off between or the balance between the efficiency and the resilience, because normally if we want to keep the water supply system, for example, resilient, we have to make a backup or some other robustness system to keep the water supply system safe. But this would cost more time and investment. On the other side, if we want to improve the efficiency, we have to make it more efficient. So that's maybe, for example, we just use one loop, and then it can keep the water supply system more efficient. But in any way, we have to maybe make it robustness. So we have to make the backup system. So that is a balance between the resilience and efficiency. And also for the energy, also the energy metabolism, the energy technical and socio-economic processes occurring in the cities. So we can see we may use tools to check the urban energy flows, among the water system. This is the figure of the water flows and transformation, and also the use. And now let's go to the water energy nexus, and this is also a case study of Beijing. So this is the energy water nexus. We can see the energy directly consumed by the city and energy used for water infrastructure are combined together. And we converted them into a single hybrid energy flow to urban nexus network. And also we use the system-based framework to synthesize the interwoven connections between energy consumption and water use in the city, like Beijing. And also we analyze, the nexus effect on the relationship between the sectors. And also among the economic sectors, we use the linkage analysis to figure out the important water energy nexus nodes and for vertically integrate consumption. So then we can see how the upstream sectors and also the downstream sectors, how they are connected with each other, and how much the water and the imported energy flowed through these linkages. And this is also the water energy nexus for the urban agglomeration. We can see not only Beijing, but also the connections between Beijing, Tianjin city, and also the surrounding areas. This is all the flows among different areas, and how they are. We can see the the connections, and then we can see the model outputs, like the hybrid energy water flows between sectors, and mutual or competitive relationships between these sectors. And this is, the hybrid water and the hybrid energy among all the interactions among the sectors. More than 100, sectors are listed, on the circles, of the water and energy in the urban agglomeration. We can see the significant changes of control and dependence relationship between these sectors, because how they interact with each other, how much, for example, this sector demand and how much is that sector can supply or something like that. So this is their energy and water nexus in the urban agglomeration. And also we made the scenario analysis. We set up, the inventory of direct linkage and also the indirect linkages. And then we can see all the water-related or energy-related water or water-related. And we see the setup of 4 scenarios and 5 scenarios. And we can see the sectors have higher water consumption with high energy-related water consumption. And we see different scenarios how these energy water are interconnected. And this is the impact of these scenarios. And also the trade-off, so among water energy. Actually, we also analyzed the carbon emissions from these, these sectors. And also we figured out the driving factors of this energy water nexus. What kind of factors are pushing the energy and water consumption. This. And also we analyzed, because it's a resilient city, we analyzed the potential, risk brought by the water scarcity. For example, the economic losses caused by water scarcity, and also the economic loss caused by energy scarcity, and how these risks are propagated among the socio-economic sectors. So there's a risk propagation. And also we need some coordinated management for both water and energy resources. So this is a risk analysis. And also the third one, we introduced something about the water energy scheduling platform. Also, we use it in Beijing City. So this is the Beijing City because of the water networks of Beijing. Because Beijing now we use almost 70% of water from the long distance water transfer project from the south part to the north part, because the Beijing City cannot afford all the water consumption because of the more than 20 million people, and also the industries, lots of them. So that's a big problem, severe, water scarcity. But in 10 years ago, we used the groundwater, but it may cause many problems, eco-environment problems. But now we use the south water transferred for almost 2,000 kilometers away from the south part. It can mitigate the water scarcity problem in Beijing. But also it brought some new problems, like we need to construct a very complicated, water network, like for example, 2 great arteries, waterworks, hubs, loop, and also we need 3 emergency water sources, because it's really hard, for a mega city to keep all the water resources available and security, keep its security. So we help the municipal government set up a water resource platform with big data and also with the water energy consumption demand analysis. So this is a monitoring system, because for the long distance water transfer, we need to set up a 9-grade, pumping system. Otherwise, the water cannot flow into the reservoir or some other places. So we use some renewable energy like solar PV and also wind power, battery system, and also we need to transfer the water and also the water, like the water we store, water use, and something integrated management. So this is a water energy scheduling platform. And also this is the function of all the we can monitor and also simulating the water energy demand consumption, and also schedule run emergency protection, and also some data analysis and the reporting on this platform. So that goes. And also we want to set up, the water energy scheduling monitoring system, and we set up the scheduling index, and also we want to make an intelligent emergency services, even for the not only the water consumption and the water energy consumption, but also the emergency like the water logging, inundation or something, disasters of the city. So. Okay, so finally, I will list some prospects on the urban transitions. So Nexus, what is Nexus? We want to achieve the synergistic effects based on Nexus concepts. We can see that this is the left column is the energy, like the coal, solar, and some lighting, building, wind system, and the right part is like the other parts, like the water use, for example, and also actually also some other sites like the land use or something like that. So it's a Nexus, how to combine all of this, shift the city competition paradigm to capture resources towards a different focus on the coordination through the teleconnected resources like energy and water. So this is what we're doing, the regulation based on the metabolism methodology and also Nexus framework. We are still, constructing, the top-down modeling methods like the material and energy models, and also the land use and also infrastructure models, integrate all of them to improve the urban resilience. Okay, thank you. That's all. Thank you. Hello?
Yes, put me language on, but wait for Mehdi. Hello, thank you, Professor Chen, for this presentation. And now it looks like we have a question from the YouTube channel, and the question is, I think it's to Professor Widodo, sorry, Tarek, perhaps. Mr. Bülent Şenses is asking, hi Professor, can your government inspect the river shipping traffic properly? This can be one reason of pollution. So Professor, but I think Professor is not here with us. But I don't think this question is for Professor Chen. Okay. Okay, I guess this question, we will direct this question to our professor, and hopefully we will be giving you the answer, Mr. Bülent. Okay, so this was the last live presentation of this session. We have one more presentation, Mr. Cemal Aslan from the United Kingdom. And now we will be sharing his video presentation with you. Thank you very much for being with us.
Gentlemen, welcome to my presentation. First of all, let me thank you all for coming here today. And I'm going to talk about maritime delimitation dispute in Eastern Mediterranean. The riparian states of the Eastern Mediterranean are attempting to declare an exclusive economic zone to explore and exploit hydrocarbon resources. A coastal state can declare an exclusive economic zone without being a party to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Although Turkey and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus are not parties to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, but they have the right to declare an exclusive economic zone. United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea regulates sovereign rights of the coastal state, which is for economic purposes include legislative and judicial powers. However, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea also gives the state some rights on this maritime zone. Economic activities should not violate the rights of states in exclusive economic zone. In terms of the limitation of the exclusive economic zone between states and the proximate and the ones neighboring on the coast, the equitable principle has been adopted, which is recognized for the delimitation of the continental shelf. Accordingly, the exclusive economic zone delimitation will be made through an agreement and in a way that will reach a fair conclusion in accordance with the international law. It is also great importance for Turkey to determine the borders of exclusive economic zone and to direct its policies and practices in the Eastern Mediterranean according to these borders. Policies are needed to integrate with the declaration of the exclusive economic zone. In the new policy to be determined, two options are on the table. The first is to associate the carbons within their exclusive economic zone, which the Republic of Turkey and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus will declare separately as independent states. The second is to conduct hydrocarbon explorations in the exclusive economic zone, which will be announced by focusing on the integration of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus with Turkey from the next year, taking into account the changing international conditions. In both cases, priority should be given to the exploration of potential resources in our marine areas. It is a fact that we have not done much exploration in the deep seas and we have neglected our seas until now. This is more true for the Eastern Mediterranean. An oil and natural gas exploration campaign should be launched to cover all our sea areas, both by developing our own opportunities and by partnering with foreign companies with deep sea exploration technology. Maritime delimitation is a difficult process if islands are involved. Parties do not easily agree on the size of maritime areas to be accorded to islands. In fact, islands have been at the core of the disagreement in all maritime delimitation disputes. The related states are left with no choice but to take the disputes to international courts for settlement. Other geographical features, such as geographical location of the coasts of the state, related to states, and their respective coastal lengths, create relatively less complicated situations. Regardless of its surrounding political circumstances, the Eastern Mediterranean is a difficult region for maritime delimitation, basically due to the presence of islands, namely the island of Cyprus and Greek islands of Crete, Kassos, Karpathos, Rhodos, and Castellorizo. The legal agreements of the states in the region over this rather technical matter carry therefore a significant value if the settlement is to be sought through international law. This review focuses on the legal approach of Turkey without a detailed evaluation. The aim here is rather to identify both the claims of Turkey over the maritime borders and to review legal arguments to clarify the fundamental points of this approach. Despite its frequent use, the geographical limits of the Eastern Mediterranean Sea do not have a comprehensive agreement. This is not, however, a matter to settle here as far as maritime delimitation is concerned. Disputing parties or competent courts should not bind themselves with such a definition, but rather with the coastal projections and need an overlap in a delimitation process. It is, however, clear which countries are involved in the issue of maritime delimitation in the region. The states which are actually and potentially affected by maritime delimitation in the region are Turkey, Egypt, Israel, Palestine, Libya, Lebanon, Syria, Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, and the Greek administration of Southern Cyprus. 6 countries, namely Israel, Lebanon, Syria, Libya, Egypt, and the Greek administration of Southern Cyprus, have declared exclusive economic zone. Since there is no need for declaration, other states, including Turkey, have continental shelf areas. Some states have chosen to sign an exclusive economic zone delimitation agreement without a declaration. Exclusive economic zone is part of a memorandum that Turkey signed with Libya on November 17, 2019. Therefore, Turkey does apply an exclusive economic zone in the Eastern Mediterranean, at least in relation to Libya. Sovereign rights and powers. The continental shelf and the exclusive economic zone grant the coastal sovereign state rights and powers over natural resources. The prevailing rule at this point is the principle of the land dominates the sea. In other words, states have sovereign rights and powers in the sea areas adjacent to their coast because they are on the coast of the sea. The Greek Cypriot administration's refusal to recognize the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus as a legitimate political authority, while the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus and Turkey reject the Greek Cypriot administration's claim that the island has a sole say, even if the European Union and other relevant international actors do not accept the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus as a state. Despite accepting the rights of the Turkish existence in the island, the fact that they only made treaties with the Greek Cypriot administration in violation of the rights of the Turkish Cypriots in matters concerning the entire island, the division of the Eastern Mediterranean maritime areas has become a part of the sovereignty issue over the island rather than being a mere maritime issue. The Greek Cypriot administration has no legal right to declare an exclusive economic zone unilaterally. If there's more than one state and more than one people in place, especially the disputed state cannot unilaterally declare an exclusive economic zone. If the Republic of Cyprus were a single state on the island, then it could have a declared exclusive economic zone. As of the current situation, there are de facto 3 states belonging to Turkish, Greek, and British on the island of Cyprus. The European Union ignores Turkey in the Eastern Mediterranean and accepts Greece and the Greek Cypriot administration as an integrated geographical area. The route chosen by the Greeks in the Eastern Mediterranean is a dead end. They do not have the legal right to evaluate and develop any natural gas resources unilaterally around the island. The indispensable condition for Turkey and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus energy plans strategy to successfully achieve its goal for the Eastern Mediterranean is its integration in the Mediterranean and the declaration of an exclusive economic zone. Turkey signed limitation of maritime jurisdiction areas in the Eastern Mediterranean with the Libyan government of national accord. Subsequently, it determined the exclusive economic zone and declared it in the official newspaper. The continental shelf and exclusive economic zone borders were adopted with a 30-kilometer long borderline. The agreement will completely change the situation in the Mediterranean. This agreement has historical significance, meaning that it is a game changer on conflicts and actors in the Eastern Mediterranean and has been an important political shift. The agreement was approved by the Presidential Council on December 6, 2019 and adopted in the Libyan law. Two countries can conduct research activities in the determined areas within the context of it. This bilateral agreement was declared to the United Nations by Turkey and Libya. Through this agreement, Turkey and Libya are now neighbors from sea and have the opposite shores to one another. As a result of Turkey-Libya agreement, Mavivatan now has reached an area of 189,000 square kilometers. The agreement was concluded within the framework of Anatolia-Africa Joint Line and the Equitable Principle. The agreement between Libya and Turkey is profitable with the equitable principle for both sides. According to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, Turkey and Libya should bilaterally sign the agreement based on equitable principle. Both sides need to approve for an exclusive economic zone agreement to be in effect. Thus, it is seen that this agreement is convenient and legitimate within the context of international law. Libya's agreement with Turkey is much more profitable compared to possible Libya-Greek Cypriot administration and Libya-Greece exclusive economic zone agreement. Considering the agreement in terms of hydrocarbon exploration in the Eastern Mediterranean, it is observed that Turkey should support its strategic and political superiority with economic dynamics as well in order to improve its activities. If Turkey makes agreement with Syria, Lebanon, Israel and Egypt in the region, overcoming the anti-Turkish stance, it can make important explorations that will provide important benefits to Turkey and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. The Eastern Mediterranean hydrocarbon exploration could improve in this way. The agreement has a negative effect on the East Med pipeline project because companies that sign the project would plan to build this pipeline without Turkey and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. However, this agreement has blocked the route of the East Med pipeline project. Continental shelf and exclusive economic zone delimitation constitute the problems related to the delimitation of maritime jurisdiction areas in the Eastern Mediterranean. Since the Eastern Mediterranean is a narrow sea, geographically it creates problems in the delimitation of these two sea areas. And as mentioned above, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea makes it necessary to consider the role that the determination of the exclusive economic zone, continental shelf of the states with adjacent or mutual coasts shall be made by agreement. On the other hand, Greece is added to the equation by determining a line connecting the islands of Mace, Crete, Kashot, Rhodos, and Choban, trying to limit the exclusive economic zone with the states in the region, especially the Greek Cypriot administration of Cyprus and Egypt, is starting from the southern coast of the island and advocating the limitation with the Turkish side, with the midline method. It is trying to squeeze in the Eastern Mediterranean by ignoring Turkey's open sea areas by supporting the bilateral agreements made by the Greek Cypriot administration with other states in the region. The Turkish side, on the other hand, is confronting the Greek side and its supporter, the Greek Cypriot administration, by arguing that there should be a restriction on the maritime jurisdiction areas of the islands from a legal point of view, and that if any restriction is to be made in the Eastern Mediterranean, it should be done in accordance with fair principles. While emphasizing the limitation with the midnight method over the relevant islands, Greece argues the maritime jurisdiction area should be determined over these islands by trying to obtain a continental shelf and an exclusive economic zone over these islands. In this way, Greece tries to exclude Turkey from the Mediterranean just as it did in the Aegean Sea, and pushes Turkey out of the equation by compressing it towards the north of the midlines between the Greek islands in the region and the Mediterranean coast of Turkey, and Greece is trying increasing the maximum benefits from Turkey's hydrocarbons resources. In this context, both Greece and the Greek Cypriot administration of Cyprus are trying to seize a large part of Turkey's open sea areas in the Eastern Mediterranean. Moreover, Greece, using the advantage of the civil war in Libya and ignoring Libya's rights over the maritime areas, has determined an area of approximately 39,000 square kilometers as its territorial waters, and then, for the sake of the idea of dominating the energy resources in the Eastern Mediterranean, Turkey is in the process of carrying the Eastern Mediterranean energy to the European market. It followed the policy of pushing out of equation. On the other hand, Libyan government national court did not accept Greece's declaration of an EEZ over the island of Crete and licensing an international energy companies to conduct research and supported Turkey's thesis by giving a note to Greece. Also, Turkey and Libya had discussed and evaluated the situation long ago because of Greece's move in the Mediterranean. However, the outbreak of the civil war in Libya in 2011 prevented the decision to be taken. The European Union cannot be allowed or has no jurisdiction or authority to determine the land, maritime, and borders of its member states with third countries. The membership solidarity cannot overrule the international law or justify the unilateral Greek Cypriot and Greece's claims. Greece does not have a coast to the Eastern Mediterranean Sea as the mainland, and there is no continental shelf and exclusive economic zone limitation over the island separately. In this context, Greece-Egypt maritime agreement is null and void.